Hello, everyone, and welcome to FCI Live, our Winter 2023 series. This is our second week. Thanks for being here with us. We have got a fun session for you tonight. This is actually called the most fun member engagement design input process ever. We have the team here both from CoEverything and Dorchester Food Co-op, who CoEverything worked with to do a phenomenal input process with owners on the design of their store. They're going to tell you lots more about it, and I'm going to hand the floor over to them. Thank you to the CoEverything team and to the Dorchester team for being here.
Thanks, JQ. Hi, everyone. My name is Miriam Gee. I use she, her pronouns. That's my picture over there. And thanks for staying with us as we listen to some songs from the Dorchester Food Co-op grand opening playlist, crowdsourced by our 1,450 Dorchester Food Co-op member owners. What do we have in store for you tonight? Well, design engagement is fun. And CoEverything is going to give you 5 minutes of a quick intro. We'll watch the video of the Dorchester Food Co-op, and then we'll also hear a little bit about who is CoEverything and what we do. I'll then give a 15-minute overview of the design engagement process that we started in summer of 2020. We are about to open our store this summer, 2023, and also we'll do a little bit of a 15-minute interactive breakout demo. So you all will pretend that you are in a design engagement workshop and that all of us collectively are starting a co-op together, and you can feel what it's like to take things to the next level and work with the tools that you have in your virtual environment. Then we'll have a whole group exercise demo for 5 minutes back in the Zoom room together, and 5 minutes left for questions. However, I encourage you to chat your questions at any time. And we have Stacy here and Haley with Team CoEverything, who will be collecting questions so that at the end, when we get to the Q&A, I can go ahead and raise them up if they've been chatted throughout the session and answer them all together. Okay, cool. So here we go. Who is the Dorchester Food Co-op? I am going to stop share and then reshare again so that we can watch the video, because why do I need to explain when there's an amazing 3-minute video that CoEverything helped put together that will tell you all about the food co-op in Dorchester.
The Dorchester Food Co-op is a grocery store
that is owned by the community and the workers.
We will lift up neighborhood voices
to create a co-op
that truly celebrates
our diverse and vibrant community.
Let's build an innovative public space
committed to racial, economic, and worker justice
that will enhance the health
and well-being
of our community. Cooperation is our approach,
and justice is our goal.
Cooperación es nuestro enfoque y la justicia es nuestra meta.
Cooperação é nossa apresentação, justiça é nosso objetivo.
Coopération c'est approche nous, justice c'est goal nous.
Mình cần hợp tác với nhau và công lý là mục tiêu của chúng ta.
Cooperation is our approach.
Justice is our goal.
We have an opportunity to really more profoundly embrace and engage the community in something that matters, and food matters.
With 20 plus local farms and food entrepreneurs, over 30 regional partners, more than 900 member owners and counting, the Dorchester Food Co-op is coming to 195 Bowden Street. Our full-service grocery store will offer locally and sustainably sourced affordable food, from fresh produce to bulk goods and beyond. It's a place to shop, learn, and connect with your neighbors.
If you become a member of the Dorchester Food Co-op, you're going to become an owner of a grocery store.
The Dorchester Food Co-op's mission involves giving power back to the people.
The community owns it, literally. The folks that work there are owners, and folks that shop there can be owners.
Everything that the co-op does is determined by the community, and all of the surplus value that the store creates goes back to the community.
The community got together and did this, so people in the neighborhood can build something that they own.
To have something that is for us, where we can have access to healthy food, and that it's being grown by the people who live in the community, is to me what justice is all about.
So it's all connected: economic justice, racial justice, and doing it in a community that often feels left behind.
Something that our community deserves. And it's something that clearly the community is working to make it happen.
Become a member, become an owner. Invest, donate, join at dorchesterfoodcoop.com.
Yay, round of applause for the video. Wonderful. See, all of our Dorchester Food Co-op board members get really nervous when they're asked to read the mission statement for the food co-op. So we're just going to go with the video so nobody feels nervous. Okay, everybody, back to our show. So, who am I and why am I talking to you? Well, my name is Miriam Gee. As I said in the beginning, if you missed it, I'm an architect. I am an optimist, a community champion, and an educator. I am one of the worker owners at CoEverything, and this is the team of CoEverything folks who were largely responsible for bringing together the most amazing groundbreaking process and party the Dorchester Food Co-op has ever seen, maybe a whole city of Boston and all the food co-ops. So we are community-driven designers, architects, worker owners, and environmentalists. So that's all to say that really we were so excited to be awarded the RFP to become the architect and store designer for the Dorchester Food Co-op because we are so mission and vision aligned, and we thought what a great opportunity for a consumer worker co-op and a worker co-op to collaborate. So here's to principle 6, co-ops cooperating. All right, so what makes CoEverything's design process a little bit different than regular architecture firms? Well, we use a community-driven design approach, and the goal of that approach is how do we reach as many members and neighbors as possible? So in this approach, we've got some images here, and the diagram that I'm talking about here is about the 3 different series of workshops that we created with the Dorchester Food Co-op. So the first workshop was about inspiring everyone, tons and tons of ideas, lots and lots of ideas. And then imagining if we focused those ideas just to our site, just to our sketch, what comes out of it, and then brainstorming again, more and more feedback and ideas from community members, and repeating this process like a little roller coaster that keeps undulating and getting more and more focused with more and more ideas and input from folks. So this inspire, imagine, and repeat process is what we used for the Dorchester Food Co-op. And our member engagement goals were to create activities that are hybrid friendly, so that work well in Zoom and also work well in real life with real people tabling at events. We are all here together in Zoom, but I'll explain to you how some of our engagements were also replicated in real life. And we looked to create workshops where folks have opportunities to be both actors and observers. So you're listening and you're participating. And then we also looked for tools that helped us create a multilingual engagement experience for folks, because though we are predominantly English speaking, we have folks who speak Haitian, Cape Verde, Vietnamese, English, Spanish, Chinese, like lots of languages in our membership. And so for those of us who were engaging with folks one-on-one, we would rely on our network and our partners to kind of use these tools to translate all of these elements of engagement into multiple languages to get feedback from everyone. All right, so what does this workshop series look like? Series number 1, Inspire. The point is to gather feedback from the community, imagining your food co-op in a number of different themes in different ways. And then the second workshop, Imagine, was to imagine what could be inside and what it actually looks like, and then get more feedback from folks. And then by the third workshop, we're actually producing a design and a 3D image, a 3D initial sketch and floor plans to say, this is really what we think it could look like in this space, and get more feedback. And the design continued to evolve from there. So what does that look like? Well, the result of moving at the speed of trust, one may say, holy crap, you all started that design process in 2020 summer. We were in the pandemic, we were fundraising, we were building membership, we were building momentum until we were finally groundbreaking last summer in July. And here we are about to open our store in 2023 summer. So summer is like the hot spot for the Dorchester Food Co-op. Our 3-part community design planning series resulted in this great collection of images that were community sourced from our members and neighbors. And our Dorchester Food Co-op grocery store has a focus on produce and bulk goods. We'll do an exercise later that will show you how we kind of came up with the things that were the most important to our members. That is an expression of our diverse community, and it has a cafe and a lounge, becoming more and more important as we're trying to make this store come to life soon. So here is a quick sketch that you can see of our store design. It's a 6,000 square foot store. We're packing a lot into this little store. We are the only ground floor tenant in a building with 40 affordable housing apartments above us. We're really great location in the Bowdoin and Geneva neighborhood of Dorchester. There are no other grocery stores around like this one. And we have this great open plaza and 24 parking spaces, street facing facade, so that people can come and grab a bite to eat or go shopping and hang out with their neighbors right there on the street, visible to everyone. So a couple of design engagement tips. Keep it fun and light. As you saw, you entered into our workshop today and we were playing music from our playlist. Meet people where they are. So today in this format, we're meeting you all where people are in different time zones. So the best and most useful tool is Zoom and most familiar. And we're creating ways for folks to interact and chat. Especially during the pandemic, this was super key because our members are so vast and spread across the city and haven't had a great chance to meet each other. And a lot of them are very passionate about opening this store. Okay, so a couple of other tips. Thank you, and a shout out to anybody here who's part of our Dorchester Food Co-op store committee. I would highly suggest, if you're starting a food co-op, that you have a dedicated store committee to help discern what questions to ask of your members during these workshops. So you can see here some pictures of Sarah, Davida, Jenny, Robin, Imani, Alec, and Danny, and myself, all on multiple Zooms happening every 2 weeks, where we did a lot of planning for all of the workshops. And so we were able to come up with questions like this: what personally excites you about the food co-op store design? And we've got a great word cloud exercise that we'll wrap up with today. So that's just an example. Another tip, early on in our design workshop series, so this was the result of our third design workshop. So we tried to create open-ended illustrations that allow your imagination to wander. So this, some of the renderings that you saw and the illustrations you saw in the video and that you will see today, this was really the result of our third workshop. And that's to say that the design had room to keep evolving. In this instance, you'll notice maybe that all of the store shelving is actually like orthogonal and perpendicular. We ended up changing the design into a diagonal layout to open up the store. But that's just to say, you know, when you keep it pretty light and sketchy early on, it allows people the space to imagine what the store could become. All right, another thing that is pretty important, and maybe some of our other friends who are on the thread with us here from Youth Build, the designery would note this one, but use images and language that reflects your membership. So like I said, if this is a really diverse group of people and you don't envision yourself in the store, if you don't use illustrations of people that are from the neighborhood in the store, then you're going to feel like the store is not welcoming and it's not for you. And similarly, you know, so we have this example where there are some signs in Spanish and English to try and show that the store could be welcoming for all. And members will really want to engage with the design if they feel they are represented. Okay, so as you heard in the beginning, I mentioned that the cafe is one of the focal points that came out of the community design planning series that we did. Folks were really, really excited and understood that it would be a burden on the food co-op, in fact, to take away some of the retail saleable square footage to dedicate this small cafe space. But they found it was really, really important. So we said, we're going to focus on bringing that illustration to life because it was something that was really valued by the members. All right, and another engagement tip, at the end of each one of our workshops, we always created a clear call to action. So this is like from number 1 through 3 down. This is like a copy and paste of one of our slides from our earlier workshops. We told folks at the end of every workshop, you can sign up to volunteer. You can become a member if you're not already. You can connect on social media. And then when folks were signing up to volunteer, we would have people from the different committees come and kind of pitch their committee so that people could decide to get involved, whether that's with the store committee, fundraising committee, outreach and communications. And so there's lots of opportunities to connect with folks if you give them a clear call to action. And then maybe one of my most important and most favorite things to do for design engagement is don't forget to celebrate your big wins. So our in-person events like our groundbreaking, or we recently had a hybrid event called We've Got the Power, helped members realize that our design was finally coming to life. So that means store tours, job site under construction, and helping to understand that it's continuing to evolve and getting closer and closer to reality. And one final tip, something that I appreciated. So this is our general manager here, John Santos in the back, giving a tour to everyone at our We've Got the Power workshop that we just held a few weekends ago. So you can see the space is under construction. There's refrigeration. It's a little bit crazy in there, but we had a pretty good turnout. And something that I think is important when you think about design engagement is to treat your members like owners of a grocery store. So this isn't just a design wish list where people get to list every imaginable thing that their heart could desire. We all are owners of a grocery store and we need to run a grocery store. So, you know, in this tour, John was telling people about how we're maximizing the square footage and the linear footage of produce because it's really important for sales and there's no other offerings like it in town, and how we oriented all of the cashier stations and point of sale in such a way that staff can have a visual and work on loss and security, and that people can have, you know, good clear lines of sight throughout the whole store. And all of the members are really appreciative of that. Okay. So in case this is what you've been waiting for all night, we're going to do a breakout demo. How are we doing on time? 7:20. Oh, I'm killing it on time. Maybe we can even do this breakout demo. I had it for 15 minutes, but I'm going to go ahead and do it for 20 minutes. I'll give like a 3-minute explanation, and then we'll bring you back in from the breakout groups after about 15, 20 minutes. Okay. So, if I could have Haley and Stacy drop this link into the chat, it's bit.ly, capital F, capital C, capital I - demo. I'll also try and grab it out of here if I can really quick. So this is going to teach everybody a little bit of an experiment, thanks Stacy, where folks will be able to self-facilitate over Zoom. So something that we encountered in the Dorchester Food Co-op workshops is we were in the dead of the pandemic, and how do we have meaningful engagement with small groups of people when we're managing 75 people on a Zoom call? There's no way that we'll be able to get 25 people to volunteer to be facilitators for small group conversations. So we created a survey on Survey Legend, and we're keeping it light and fun with illustrations, and it's allowing folks to interact and meet each other. And then Survey Legend, the paid version, actually has a multilingual option. So if you did need to have different groups based on different languages, you would be able to change it into different languages. So I'm going to just give everybody a quick demo on how this works. We're going to break out into groups. Maybe, how many people do we have total? 26. Maybe I'll do groups of 3 or 4. And it's going to be self-moderating. So this is the exact workshop #1 interactive exercise that we did for the majority of our design workshop. And we'll not be able to get through all of it in this chunk, but we'll be able to get through some of it, and you can start to understand what it might be like. So first, when you arrive in your group, make sure that everybody turns on at least their audio, and preferably their audio and video, because it's an opportunity to meet each other. And then if you have any questions, you can click on the Ask for Help button in the Zoom toolbar, which is right here. So if you end up in a group where nobody can figure out what's going on, you just click on this Ask for Help button in the Zoom toolbar, and myself or Haley will pop into your Zoom room and help you get organized. Okay, and then remember to be respectful, and there are going to be 2 roles in your group. #1, a person who will be the scribe. So this is someone who is attending this Zoom right now on a laptop and feels comfortable navigating Zoom enough to do a screen share and type into the fields of the survey on behalf of everyone. And then the second role is a timekeeper. So we're going to pay attention to the time for each exercise and remind the group to keep moving. It can be pretty hard to do. Sometimes the intros could last a really long time. So then once you click Let's Go, you'll see there's a moment for folks to introduce themselves, your names, your pronouns, if you'd like, and your location, recording your group members. And then we've got a series of conversation starters. So these conversation starters were written for the Dorchester Food Co-op members by CoEverything and the store committee. So as a group, list out your favorite spots to hang in real life when you're not at home or work in school. List what you like about these spaces. So this is about third spaces, trying to get you talking and thinking about spaces and places. And there's a couple of other prompts. I will encourage you to do the first prompt, and then I think you can skip prompt #2 and 3 because they're particular to the Dorchester Food Co-op. And instead to move on to our fun exercise called the design deck. So CoEverything put together a whole bunch of images here. And as a group, it's your job to think about your favorite departments at your local grocery store. So this is how we were able to establish from our group of membership that produce, bulk, and the cafe were the most important departments to our membership body. So in this, you're essentially organizing all of these cards from your most favorite to your least favorite. And so you go ahead and you can just click on them and you can decide which one is the best, and just click on them in the order that you want to be the best to the least favorite, and then tell your group about why your top 3 were your favorite. Now that's a little bit of a discussion point. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into breakout groups. I'd encourage people right now to go ahead, and for those of you who think you might be able to scribe, would you please grab the link that Stacy has dropped into the chat, which is capital FCI-demo. It's a bit.ly link. Really appreciate it if you can grab that link, because you will then likely be primed to be the scribe for your group. So anyone on a laptop, I'd encourage you to grab that link, and I'll go ahead and break us out into groups. Okay. And assign automatically. Okay, we're going to go for 3 to 4 participants per room. Here we go. And then options, we're going to do breakout rooms for 15 minutes. Okay, so again, you're going to go through the first prompt of conversation starters and then skip down to the design deck. So introduce yourself, do the first conversation starter prompt, and then skip down to the final design deck. Okay, here we go. I'm opening all the rooms. Here we go. Don't forget to ask for help if you get confused. Welcome back, everyone. Hopefully that was a fun little exercise. So normally, if we were really building a co-op together, we would do a little bit of a share back. But considering folks are not really all 25 of us building a co-op together, we're going to not do a share back, but I'm going to introduce you to another exercise. So if you could go ahead and drop this link into the chat, folks. I think Haley has it, maybe also Stacy has it. And JQ, could I ask you to just mute everyone except for me? Thank you. Cool. So we're going to test out this cool thing called Mentimeter, and you can do this either on your phone or in another window on your computer. So you just open up a browser and you follow the instructions that Haley put into the chat. You go to menti.com, and then you'll see this on my phone here. You'll be asked to answer a prompt, and it says enter a code. And the code is 37393031. I'll go ahead and then you hit submit, take you over to the demo. So what this is a way that you all can do virtual sticky notes. I hope that you enjoy this tool and that you decide that it might be useful to you in doing member engagement. The fun thing about this is it's a little more visually exciting than the regular Zoom polls. So when you get started, you can go ahead and write into your phone or into another window on your computer after you've arrived one thing you learned today that can help you reach members of your food co-op. So anything that you learned today in this session or in any session for that matter, and go ahead and type it in, a little short answer. And then as people answer the questions in menti.com, it will go ahead and populate them onto the screen. So we have creating multilingual options, simple language, keep it fun and light, the brainstorming and focus process, how to be more inclusive. Great, everybody, keep them coming. Chemistry is everything, interactive, wonderful. I see. So you're seeing the second question on the list. Amanda, you should be able to hit something at the top that says go to slide. That's going to be our second slide. So we want to start with this first slide here. Thanks for shouting that out in the chat. Include people representative of your community, even in initial designs. You can make it fun, reflect the community in your store. Cool. All right, so we'll go ahead and you can see as like it continues to scroll. So as more and more people answer, you know, like use tools like Survey Legend, it starts to populate. And then the cool thing about this is, unlike if you did any sticky notes in real life on chart paper, then somebody has to go and write them all down. You can just export this as a PDF later and you already have it all documented. So thanks for participating. We'll move on to the next slide. So it's the same code, and if you went into your phone at the very top or in another tab, you can click on the blue button that says go to slide, because I've advanced to this next slide. So this is an example of doing a word cloud, and the way that the word cloud works is if you decide to enter in a word that's already on the screen, you'll kind of bump it up. So like if you really think bulk is super exciting about your food co-op and you type in bulk 3 times, then you will make it get really big. And so you can go ahead and kind of like vote up the things that you like or add in new things. And then the word cloud continues to change as people kind of like weigh out what are the things that are really exciting about your food co-op. And so this was another way that the Dorchester Food Co-op was able to kind of document in a fun and exciting way and see the kind of like best attributes of what everybody valued and prioritized in our store. All right, so we've got 8 people have answered so far, 9 people. We have healthy, organic, produce, community is getting really high, cooperation, owners have a say, know my farmer, fantastic food choices, democracy, neighbors. Wow, what a great group of cooperators we have on this Zoom. Okay, cool. Well, we'll go ahead and stop that for now. So hopefully you'll find that interesting. You can just go to Menti. Menti.com is the way that you do the presentation. If you want to make any of your own slides, you can go to mentimeter.com, which I'll type into the chat. And it is a free tool that you can use. Thanks, Dina. I also saw your notes in the chat. In order to make it accessible, if folks aren't able to do the demo on their phone or in another tab, we'd often have like a second facilitator who would grab Dina's comments and then type them into the Mentimeter so that everything could be recorded in one place. All right, so that's all that I have for you today. Our websites are up here. We're at the end of our session, and I've saved 5 minutes for questions. DorchesterFoodCoop.com is the website for the DFC, and we are CoEverything.co. And so I'm going to go ahead and just pull down the screen share. And if anybody has any questions, I invite you to either unmute yourself if you are the type that doesn't mind speaking up in front of a group of 23, 24 strangers. If you are feeling shy or introverted, or you just prefer typing, please type your questions into the chat, and we'll go ahead and answer any questions that you have about the most fun and interactive design engagement process ever. I can't even remember the name of the session that I created.
So if I understand your brainstorming and focusing process, you invited anyone from the community. They did not have to just be owners to come to this, correct?
Correct. So thanks for weighing in on that, Brandon. I forgot to mention how we actually were able to reach people who are not owners of the store. So things that we did in real life to kind of like boost up this interactive workshop series is we flyered everywhere all around the community, invited anybody from the neighborhood to attend. So it also got an email blast and like Eventbrites and all kinds of RSVP links and so forth. But like in the first workshop, we had 75 people attending. However, we also took that entire survey legend that you participated in, and we printed them out on real paper and had actual, papers with the 12 different categories of the departments. And then we tabled in the location. At the time, there wasn't even a building. So folks were just sitting out there, volunteers who had come to this workshop, were just sitting there and waiting for neighbors to walk by and then asking them their opinions and asking them what they would think about a co-op and a future building happening right behind them on an empty site. So thanks for that. Any other questions?
I just really want to say how impressed I am at the whole process. Like, I feel like we're not quite to we don't have a site yet, so we're not quite to this place, but I get the sense that some people, after having worked on it for so long, would have a really hard time letting go of that. Like, we have a night, we know the market study, we know we're working with this store planner, we know what we need in order to be successful, and that's what we're going to do. And to kind of be able to let some of that control go and invite people who don't have all of that background that we, about what will make us successful, to invite them into that conversation is exciting, and I think really scary for some people. And I'm really impressed at this whole, the whole thing that you've laid out.
Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, I would say that maybe JQ named the session well by saying it was community and member or neighbor input, right? So like I think it's valuable to hear from your neighbors who may not even be a Dorchester Food Co-op owner yet, or some people who think they understand that they own the grocery store, but maybe just think they've made $100 donation and don't really get what they did. Ultimately, the board and the store committee and our now general manager are responsible for operating a store that's going to be functional and reflects the neighborhood as a whole, is an expression of our community, is a focus of produce and bulk. So it's like, in coming together to allow people to have input, you can still create a higher level vision that everyone can get behind, and it doesn't have to be as specific as like, I'm really mad because I'm a neighbor and I told you to put the cash register right there and you put it somewhere else according to where your general manager went. Like, nobody's really that excited about that level of stuff. And the earlier engagement is kind of more fun because people can vision broadly and imagine things and kind of like throw out a lot of ideas. And we actually got some pretty cool ideas that we hadn't thought of until we had those sessions.
So we have a question in the chat box from Amanda Fuller, looking for suggestions for those who have already hired firms or developed relationships with partners that are not making space for owner input.
Thanks, Amanda. I would say that if you are willing to move at the speed of trust, it's totally okay to like put a pause on things wherever you are with your design firm and like lead your own engagement process, right? Like it doesn't have to be an architect or a store designer leading this process. If you feel like you want to reach out to member owners, future member owners or neighbors or other stakeholders that are in and around, like if you don't even have a site or a location, just like in and around the neighborhood where you're trying to build the store, it's totally okay. Like nobody is requiring you to do so, but if you feel like it's valuable and you want neighborhood buy-in, it can be a great way to build trust and build relationships with people. And just make sure that whatever you're allowing in the visioning process is allowing space for imagination and isn't necessarily making any like really grocery store pro forma specific promises. Thanks.
I would just add to what Lisa had said about, letting go, too, is you don't have to have the sessions be wide open either, I wouldn't think, right? Like you're going to form the questions, you're going to form the topics. And so you're still steering in the right direction, but you're just allowing input and feedback. And I think about to the session I was in yesterday about, are you really bringing everyone to the table? Are you really truly being inclusive if your small group is the only one dictating what it's going to look like and be? And are you trying to get people to be a part of your store, or are you just trying to increase sales, right? Because those are two very different things.
Thanks, Brandon. Yeah, I'd also add that I think, and maybe if Jenny or Robin wants to speak to this at all, like a lot of y'all have probably been organizing for like a decade or something, you know what I mean? And there's been some diehards who like came up with this idea 10 years ago who are just like, I just have to keep like finding extra hours in my weekend, extra hours in my week to just keep bringing the next thing to reality, and it's been so much work that it seems scary to invite people to vision with you. And then at the same time, we remember like we're creating food co-ops for community ownership. And so it's like, what's the scary part about visioning something with your neighbors? Well, maybe they don't want your vision, but I would argue that anybody who's not interested in the vision of a food co-op is not going to opt in to like showing up to a 90-minute Zoom session to like meet their neighbors and talk about how they love bulk soap, like these are not things that like the everyday like person who would be against your vision is going to show up to participate in. And then I'd also say that, if you noticed, the way that the store committee and CoEverything helped frame the questions is what leads everybody into kind of like a positive experience. So the questions that you're answering are tailored in a specific way. What personally excites you about the store? What are you looking forward to? What do you love? Or asking people about more abstract questions like, what are the things that you love about other spaces that you visit and other third places that are your favorite place outside of work and home? Those are all things that are important to each individual and are not like, raise your hand if you want a food co-op, or and give me a thumbs down if you don't want a food co-op. It's like you put it together in a way that's going to build momentum in the workshop even itself, so that people leave feeling they had a positive experience. Okay, JQ, we are at the 3-minute time.
All right, I want to throw in real quick, folks. Before we thank them, which is amazing, this is not in opposition to designing a store that will be financially successful, which I'm going to just stress is absolutely critical. We have startups that are failing because they can't meet sales, but this is in opposition. And actually other design firms have done something similar. I've been part of it with my food co-op. So this is something you can circle back and either on your own, as Miriam said, or to your design firm. Someone named in the chat one that has run this process. I've actually helped them run this process once. Very similar, just not with all these cool tools, not done exactly the same. You can go back and do this at any point. It doesn't have to change major grocery decisions. It changes feel, tone, focus. It always brings up one thing we didn't think of that brings something really fun and engaging back to the process. So I keep hearing this, like, don't see this as oppositional. This is really doable and is totally in alignment with making the business successful. So, and just wanted to make sure I kept hearing like either or. I'm like, it's not either or. This will make it more successful. So it's just a terrific process. Thank you so much to Miriam and her team and Dorchester for coming out and sharing in such a dynamic way that I think really helps everyone experience how vital this can be. I'm so grateful to Miriam. And where's the other member of your team?
Haley and Stacy.
Thank you. And Jenny's here from Dorchester, Robin. So we want to thank all of them. This was a terrific session. We deeply appreciate you guys. And we're going to wrap up real quick and just talk about, we've got a whole bunch going on tomorrow. I hope you folks won't miss it. We've got 3 sessions tomorrow. So tomorrow and Thursday, we've got 3 sessions each day because there was too much stuff that people wanted to fit in. So tomorrow at noon, we've got Are You Capital Campaign Ready? This is not just about all the legal things you have to have in place and documents. This is about, does your co-op have the momentum, the connection to owners, the things in place that Katie has seen again and again are necessary to successful owner loan campaigns and owner capital campaigns. So some really good tips from her. Tomorrow afternoon, we have the GM hiring process panel. This is your peers from, again, the Dorchester Food Co-op team, who are being very generous with their time this time around. Thank you guys so much. Food Shed Co-op and Wild Onion Market. This is I'm talking about. This is what our timeline was like. These are the resources we used. This is the professional support we used. And most importantly, this is what we would and would not do again. So for those of you who already had the GM process slightly ahead of you, this one's going to be great to learn from your peers and their individual experiences. And then tomorrow night, Co-op Education Toolkit does not sound super exciting, but it is. Rachel Dominguez-Benner was the outreach coordinator and educator for Gem City Market. And she has worked with FCI to put together a packet of graphics and educational materials, slides, social media posts that you can use to do co-op education at your startup food cooperative. So I hope you'll come out and join us. And real quick, we would not be here and are able to do this series without the support of the USDA, National Cooperative Bank, National Cooperative Grocers, and CoBank. Thanks so much to them.